What's going on, guys? What's going on, Ty Squad? What's going on, everybody? So the New York Liberty beat the Aces in game two of the playoff series and going down 0-2 in a playoff series is tough to do. And like I said, I think that like I said, this was an amazing game by both teams. Like the final score was 88 to 84. And I'm going to say this, when the Aces have Jackie Young, has Chelsea Gray, has Casey Plum, has Asia Wilson, and a head coach and Becky Hammond. I think that team is still a championship team. And I think with the Aces coming into this game three, going back home, like it's tough to lose. It's tough to lose at home. It's tough to lose at home because I mean it's tough to win on the. It's tough to lose at home, and if the Aces lose to the New York Liberty, it's the New York Liberty will go to the championship game. And I know I said this after game. I know I said this after the first game one was over. I think the New York Liberty is more dominant, is more is more motivated this game. Is more motivated this time because we all know last year both of these teams met in the championship round. Both of these teams met in the championship round. And when you have, like I said, for the Aces, when you have Jackie Young, when you have Chelsea Gray, when you have Asia Wilson, Casey Plum, and a good coach, an amazing coach, I mean, and Becky Hammond. Like that team is still a championship team, and we know that the Aces are the two-time champs. But I think with the way that the Liberty played, if the Liberty can play the same way like they played their first two games at home, because it's hard to win on the road. It's hard to win a playoff series on the road or a game on the road. And we know that, and I said this before, and I said this before. I mean, I said this before, I mean, is that those 2 minutes in a game, in any game, changes the factor in the fourth quarter, those 2 minutes in a game, in the fourth quarter, changes the factor. And I'm also going to say this, is that I think it's still going to go into five. But with the Aces down 2-0, I'm just going to say this, is that I think the Aces going back home, like they're going to win a game because it was an amazing game. This game two was an amazing game, and I'll give the credit to so when you have Sabrina Ulusku on the Liberty on New York Liberty, when you have Brianna Stewart on the New York Liberty, like those two shot easy money buckets. Were making easy money buckets in game two and game one. So with I get that the New York Liberty took their 2 games at home, and I know that I said that the Aces were going to win game two, but I wasn't affecting for the the New York Liberty to be more dominant than I thought. Because who can stop this? this New York Liberty team. I think the Aces still can. The Aces can still make it a series, but going back home 0-2 and it's not going home 0-2 and not making any difference. Going home 0-2 and it looks like the Aces the Aces going home 0-2 and it looks like if the Aces can show up like they did game two, like I think the only thing here's the thing. I think there's going to be one player that most of typically will step up this game. Will step up. That will be the X factor for the Aces. I think Chelsea Gray because the way Chelsea Gray coming back from an injury, Chelsea Gray coming back from an injury, she's going to be the X factor for the Aces. Yes, you have Agent Wilson. Yes, you have Casey Plum, but I think Casey Plum and Chelsea Gray is going to be the X factor for the Aces back at home because you do not want to lose this game at home because it's the best of five series in this round. It's the best of five series in this round. And I definitely think going into this game, going into this game, I think the Aces at home will show up because they got the home crowd now. They're back at home. They're back at home. They're going to win. They're going to win this game. They they're going they're going to win this game because I feel like I feel like when you're back at home, down 0-2 in a playoff series, that's when you're supposed to know that you have to win a game because if the Aces don't win this game, if the Aces don't win this game, their season is over. Their season is over. And I'm going to say this: I'll give all the credit to Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Usku, and that entire New York Liberty team because they're showing dominance in this game. They're more motivated. And I'll give credit where credit is due to the Aces. It's that the Aces have Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, um, Adrian Wilson, and Casey Plum. But I think if this Aces team doesn't win a game this series, doesn't win a game in game three, it's over. It's over, basically. It's over. Because we can give credit where credit is due to Aja Wilson. She won the MVP this year. She had a dominant season this year. But I think Chelsea Gray and Casey Plum are going to be the X factor going into this game because you do not want to go into this game that you're into this game. The Aces are down in this series 0-2, and you don't want your season to be over because it's the best of five games. And I definitely think this game was more motivated than this game was more of a competition. Was more of a competition. And I think the next game will be more of a competition because when you have a Aces team, a Aces team that are back to back champions, and you have a New York Liberty team that is more motivated because they lost to the Aces last year in the championship round, and these two teams met in the championship round last year, it's going to make a big difference. This game, these two teams are going to make a big difference in game 3 because the Aces are down 2-0. The Aces are down 2-0. And it's tough to win on the road as a team. And then when you go back home, like when you go back home to your home crowd, which I think the Aces home crowd will be behind them all the way, like the New York Liberty crowd was when New York took game 1 and game 2. I definitely think when you look at that, when you look at that from a standpoint, I think the Liberty, I think either the Liberty will close it out game 3, or the Aces, the Aces will respond back with a um with a win with a win because those 2 minutes in any game changes the factor of a series, changes the factor of a series, changes the factor of the game in the fourth quarter. Those 2 minutes, I mean, changes the factor in the fourth quarter. Who's going to win that game? So I think with the Aces being back home, like you can say that the Aces actually want to win this game at home and make it a series. I think the Aces can make this a series. I think they're going to push it to 5. But if the New York Liberty wins game 3, they're going to the championship round. Aces, with the Aces coming into this game 2, and coming into this game in game 2 and showing what the Aces got, I think I think the Liberty dominated the Aces in game 2 and game 1, in my opinion. In my opinion, they dominated the Aces in New York at home. And when you have Sabrina Ionescu, when you have Brianna Stewart, when you have Sabrina, when you have Sabrina Ionescu, when you have Brianna Stewart on your team for the New York Liberty, and a team like these two teams met in the championship game last year. And I think the Aces look, and I think, let me rephrase that. I think the, I think the Liberty look more motivated, and they're probably, I'm just going to say this. I know the Aces are going back home down 2-0, and when you're down 2-0 in a series, when you're down 2-0 in a playoff series like the Aces are, or like different teams are down 2-0, your season is basically probably over. But I'm not saying the Aces season is over. I'm saying that they're probably going to push it to 5 games, because now you got, on the Aces side of things, you got AJ Wilson, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, um, Plum. You got those players over there, and I think with Chelsea Gray coming back, she's going to be the X factor for the Aces in this game. Like, I know you have to get AJ Wilson involved because that's your star player. But I think with Chelsea Gray coming back from her injury, I think she's going to be the X factor. I think when you're going home 0-2, when you're going home 0-2 in a series, you got your home crowd in front of you, and you got your home crowd in front of you, and it's hard to win on the road. And going going back to the Liberty side of things, to the New York Liberty side of things, if the New York Liberty plays the same way that they played in the same way that they played at home in New York, if the Liberty can play at the same way they played at home in New York, in New York, I would say that this series is over. But I'm not counting out the Aces just yet. I think the Aces are going to come out at home because, like I said, losing on the road, that's tough. Going going into going on the road and trying to win a game is tough for a road team. It's tough because it's tough. And I do think for the Aces, I do think Chelsea Gray for the Aces is definitely going to be the X factor. It's definitely going to be the X factor because she's coming back from an injury. Like I know that game one, the New York Liberty um, stopped Aja Wilson from scoring easy money buckets, but I do think Chelsea Gray will get those easy money buckets. But I also think when you have on the Liberty side of things, and and Sabrina Usku and Sabrina Usku and Brianna Stewart, like this game will probably go back and forth. But I do think let me just say this. I do think Casey Plum and Chelsea Gray will be the two X factors for the Aces. Like the Aces got other pieces like Jackie Young, like Asia Wilson, like they got other pieces. But I do think the two X factors of this game going home, like we know the Aces are the two-time defending champions. And those 2 minutes in a basketball game, those 2 minutes in the fourth quarter of a basketball game changes the factor who wins the game. Who wins the game? And I do think going into game two, going into game three, I think the Aces are going to turn this series around because I think the Aces are going to turn this series around at home because, like I said, it's tough to win on the road. It's tough to win on the road, and I think the Aces are going to come out. I know I said this about game two. I know I said this about game one was over. After game one was over, that the Aces would come out game two with a lot of energy, which they did. But I do think that the Aces are going to win game three because I think the Aces, like I said, when you're down 0-2 in a playoff series, or when you're down 0-2, or when you're down in a playoff series, you got one game at home, and you're going back home for a game. That energy from the crowd will probably turn the Aces season around. And we will probably see the series go into five because if the Liberty wins game three, wins game three. They're going to the championship round. And we can look back and say, no, I'll give all the credit to Asia Wilson. I'll give all the credit to Asia Wilson and the Aces team. I think when you have Asia Wilson, who had a dominant season this year, and she has a supporting cast like Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Casey Plum, and a head coach and Becky Hellman that can win a championship, that can win a playoff series. I'm totally, I'm totally confident that the Aces are going to make this a series. But I do think when you are going back home 2-0, when you're down 2-0, and you have that, and you're back at home, you have to, that crowd will, your home crowd will help you win that game and will cheer you on. And I think it's going to be the same way like the Liberty had their home crowd going. But I do think with the Liberty, I think if the Liberty wins game three, the series is over because we all know that it's 5 games. It's going to go to 5 games. The series is 5 games. But guys, sub if you're new and never give up your dreams. And I hope all of you guys are safe out there and stay blessed, everybody, and peace.